Growing up, I have come across a lot of statements like, don't be so loud, don't wear this dress, शाम को इतने बजे से पहले वापस आ जाना, ज़्यादा लड़कों के साथ बातें मत करो. Um, of course, I come from a family where both my parents have been extremely forward looking and progressive with me as their daughter. But today's podcast and our launch podcast, this episode is essentially about underlying misogyny in what we call a modern and progressive society, where we find that families that are progressive and are forward looking, are extremely well educated, yet will have inherent underlying misogyny existing somewhere in the families. And today's guest is hardly a guest, someone who I have really, really grown up with and who's been my best friend. Both my parents, of course, have been my best friends as I have grown up. And he's, of course, put in 32 years of service in the Indian Army. He's a veteran. And he also comes from a family which is, again, for its own time, was very, very forward looking and progressive. Uh, of course, it is my father, Colonel V.K. Pant. Of course, I like to call him Dad, Papa, like all daughters. He's with me today, where I feel that I think for my first episode, especially on this topic, being the father of an only child and a daughter, I felt he's somebody whose views I'd like to really, really bring forward to people and to really understand what his thoughts and views are on this particular underlying misogyny in our society. So, hi, Dad.
Hi,
Welcome
hi,
to
how
our
are you?
podcast.
Hi, how are you?
So, tell me more about how it was, Dad, when you were growing up, when you were a young boy, and was there really any underlying misogyny? Or I would say, were rules different in your family for sisters and brothers? And how has it really changed? What kind of changes have you seen 30 years or 40 years hence?
See, we come from a large family. We were four brothers and four sisters. So, for that matter, there was equality as far as women and men were concerned. Four boys and four girls in the family. Uh, since my father was also an officer in the army and he's been with the Britishers, so he had developed progressive ideas with him. In fact, I have never seen any discrimination taking place between me and my sisters, or the sisters and the brothers. So absolutely, my father was very forward looking. So was my mother, and in fact, if I can say so, my mother was more forward looking than my father, and she always felt that the girls should be allowed to go out. They should make friends. They should have male friends. They should study in co-ed schools, interact with men, and be with them, so that the kind of discrimination which exists in the society doesn't come in. So that way, I had a very good upbringing and open, lots of freedom, lots of liberty to do things the way we like. My Even my elder sisters, they were free to study whatever subject they wanted to use. My father, my mother never interfered. So in fact, I feel very proud in saying so, that we were a very forward-looking, progressive family.
So, how conscious were you raising up an only child and a daughter?
Absolutely no consciousness at all. In fact, we thought for ourselves that we were going to have one child. Let it be a boy, let it be a girl. If it was boy, I think we would have done the same kind of bringing, same kind of conditioning we would have done, which we have done with you. And I personally feel in today's society, there is absolutely no place for discrimination between a boy and a girl.
So, were you not conscious about the fact that you have one child and a daughter, and that she would probably have to face a lot of unequal opportunities, or the fact that she'll not have a sibling, a brother, or that the fact that she may not be as safe in the society being an only child and a daughter?
Absolutely not. Uh, we always were sure that the kind of upbringing we are getting into her, she would fight out and make place for herself wherever she goes, whatever she does.
So, bringing this more closer to home, I want to ask you. Let's take this to the corporate world where you have been working for the past 13 years now, 12, 13 years now. This is your second innings.
Yes.
According to you, what do you think? You think there are equal opportunities for women everywhere in the professional arena?
See, it differs from person to person and families to family. There are families which are still following the old systems where the girls are not allowed to speak in front of men. They are not allowed to sit when men are sitting there. Eh, And likewise, many other events which take place in a family. But then I want to tell you, the society is changing, and slowly, slowly, as I told you, the change is knocking at the doors, and the people have absolutely no option but to change, and they have to change.
But do you think they're really changing?
Yes, they are. They are changing. They are changing a lot. I find a lot of women colleagues. In fact, we have more women colleagues than we have men colleagues in our place of work. And I have absolutely not found any discrimination which is taking place. Thinking कि भाई ये लड़की का काम है, ये कर पाएगी नहीं कर पाएगी, ये लड़के का काम है, कर पाएगी नहीं कर पाएगी. It's the post you are holding, it's the duty you are doing. Absolutely no discrimination at all. And you'll be surprised to know that we have night duty managers who are women who are working throughout the night. So absolutely no discrimination. I don't think it is taking place in the corporate world. Maybe we do have a few incidents that will keep happening wherever you have men and women together. Differences are going to arise, and I think those incidents and those events are negligible.
So, a spin off to this question, to your answer essentially. If that is the case, then why is there only one woman in your core leadership? And why are they all men?
See, I'll tell you. Partly the women are to be blamed for this. There's not as you keep rising in the hierarchy. I suddenly find the women have their priorities very clear. Their priorities are my home, my children, my children's education. मेरे बेटे ने खाना खा लिया नहीं खाया, मेरी बेटी टाइम पे पहुंच गई नहीं पहुंच गई. With that kind of a distraction which they have, so I think probably they midway they want to leave. They want to leave. There are very few women colleagues who want to go to the top. They do work.
And why is that?
As I told you, मेरा घर, मेरे को घर देखना है, मेरे को अपने बेटे को देखना है, काम तो मेरा हस्बैंड कर ही रहा है, पैसे मुझे मिल ही रहे हैं. So that is the kind of a thinking which the women have.
तो ये जो thought
It's not
process,
because any discrimination is taking place. We do have a lot of women at the top. In fact, I was telling you, we have 3 chief operating officers. One of them is a woman independently.
तो ये क्यों है? मतलब हमारी सोसाइटी में why do you think women think this way? Why can't for a change the men not be the bread earners? And why can't they just probably cook,
See,
look after the household, see the child? And one of your colleagues, I'm not going to name her, but and we feel so nice and we feel so proud to see every time that she's doing so well for herself professionally. She's probably at the apex of her career. And she's going to go very ahead also. She's going to go far ahead from where she is. And her husband is at home. And he's looking after the child. And he's cooking. And he's looking after the home. And I think that is, as you said, the society is slowly changing. I think that is such a remarkable thing to see.
See, there's nothing called in today's world, in today's society, with the present generation, there's nothing called as this is men's job or this is a women's job.
Right.
In fact, I keep telling this, whoever is free,
Right.
whoever has got time,
Right.
he takes on that job. Even for that matter, uh, whether it is cooking, whether looking after the child, or looking after the workers in the home. So all these things are changing, and I think the middle class and the rich class, the change has come. The change has come. Yes, we do have certain sections in the society who are still following that, but I think slowly the change is creeping up. And I think in another about 40-50 years time, this particular thinking that this is a men's job, this is a women's job, it will change. It's a mix today.
तो इसको थोड़ा सा अगर मैं ह्यूमरस बनाना चाहूँ, तो मेरा आपसे एक आप लेट मी जस्ट रिमाइंड यू ऑफ समथिंग. तो आज से कुछ साल पहले हम गए एक हॉलीडे पे मॉलडीव्स, जस्ट यू एंड मी, अ फादर डॉटर ट्रिप. एंड दैट फ्लाइट वाज एन ऑल वुमन क्रू. बोथ द पायलट्स वर women. And मुझे आज भी याद है when we were going through the security checks and everything, and of course when we were just entering the craft, आपने आगे दो लेडी पायलट्स को देखा बैठे हुए, and you said, यार बेटा सुन, ये दोनों चला लेंगी ठीक से. So my
No.
question is कि आप ये क्यों एक इनहेरेंट चीज़ है हमारी सोसाइटी में कि लड़कियां गाड़ी नहीं चला सकती, और चला भी नहीं तो ठीक नहीं चलाएंगी, और अगर वो उड़ा रही हैं जहाज़ तो शायद क्यों एक इनहेरेंट मन में आपके डाउट क्यों आया उस वक्त?
See, you have to understand what is happening. The men are not entering the women's field. It's the women who are entering the men's field.
But don't you think it should be both ways?
No, I'll tell you why that remark of mine.
Yeah.
Since time immemorial, ever since Wright brothers first invented the aeroplane and the plane, we've had only the men who were pilots at that time. So over a period of time, what has happened is it is mistakenly been thought that it is the men's field. So now even women are entering. So now I'll tell you why I said that. I said that because as far as men are concerned, people like I'm a veteran today.
हाँ जी.
I carry 32 years of experience in the armed forces. So if now my time, women were not coming into the army. They were not allowed, or they were not permitted.
There were not
whatever
opportunities for them. Yes.
Now they start coming. So it's an experience which passes down from generation to generation.
पर कहीं ना कहीं आपको.
But in case of women pilots, since earlier on we didn't have women pilots, so they look forward to the men to share the experience with them. So not all women are forthcoming. Not all women are trying to learn. So there is a kind of a tick in the mind, whether they will be able to land properly, whether they will be able to understand the mechanics of the the machine. So it is not because I want to discriminate between women pilots or men pilots. They are as good as they are. In fact, women pilots are better today. People are feeling more safe when they find out कि the women crew in the plane.
पर मेरा सवाल ये था कि वो जो आपके एक इनहेरेंट रिमार्क आया था आपका, एक बहुत ही इम्प्रॉम्प्चू रिमार्क आया था आपका कि ना यार ये चला लेंगी ठीक से. सो आई उस वक्त मेरे को फीलिंग आई थी कि ऐसे माई फादर बीइंग वन ऑफ द मोस्ट लिबरल फादर्स आई हैव सीन still came up with it because he wasn't confident that a lady could probably fly or drive well. वो एक चीज़ मुझे लगता है, और उसमें अगेन नो क्वेश्चंस बीइंग आस्क्ड, बट ये है था, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि इन आवर सोसाइटी एक हमने ना एक बार बना दिया है कि लड़कियां यही करेंगी और लड़के यही करेंगे, और जब सडनली हम किसी लड़की को उस रोल से निकल के दूसरे रोल में जाते हुए देखते हैं.
See, you have to understand, whatever people may say, biologically the men and the women are different. Biologically, the men and the women are different. The women bears the child, the men do not. But then the men look after and protect. So if this change has been made in nature, so it does reflect in the work which you are doing. It does reflect in the work which you are doing. Women are more emotional. They are more sentimental than men. It's not because they are women or these are men. It's because the conditioning and the growing up which is taking place in the families today. Most of the men do think that the women do not have enough experience. They do not have enough, the mind to go into a lot of technicalities.
Is that right?
It is not right. It is not right. I accept that. It is not right. Women are coming in a big way. They are entering the men's field. And in fact, I keep telling the male officers today, you have a good experience, test which is there. Earlier, you were just men, you were competing with men. Now you have to compete with women also.
So, of course, this was all professional and skill-based. And personally, I feel skill-wise, and I'm sure आप भी agree करते हो इस चीज़ से, कि skill-wise, there is no difference between men and women.
Yes, there is.
Of course, biologically, yes, you're right. But physiologically, yes. But I feel For women, it's largely a lack of opportunities in our country, in our society. And I think अब वो you're right, you know, अब वो पूरा का पूरा सेटअप ही ऐसा हो गया है कि लड़की चाहे कितना भी अच्छा कर ले, इवेंचुअली शादी कर लो, सेटल हो जाओ. सो एसेंशियली आई रिमेंबर एक दिन डैड और मैं भी वो लाफिंग अबाउट दिस कि हमारी हमारी सोसाइटी में सेटल होने का मतलब शादी करना होता है. सेटल होने का मतलब किसी भी लड़की के लिए सेटल होने का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि आप अपने करियर में अच्छा कर रहे हो या आप कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हो तो भी अगर आप सिंगल हो. आई थिंक women don't enjoy that privilege in our society. What do you have to say about that?
See, it is incorrect to go with the thinking that it is happening in India only. This is happening all over the world. And you'll be surprised to know Indian women are much ahead of the other countries like America. And I'll give you an example. Recently, we had presidential elections in USA. So suddenly, we had two male candidates fighting the elections. But suddenly, the Democrats thought they'll put a woman. And when the women came, she wasn't elected. Most of the Americans thought, ये तो औरत है भाई क्या करेगी? ये तो चला पाएगी नहीं चला पाएगी.
That was their thought process. Yeah.
So it is incorrect to say that we as Indians are more closed society. We aren't. In fact, I want to tell you, we are much ahead of the Westerners as far as women's emancipation and discrimination between men and women is taken.
Can you give me an example for that of that?
In India,
Yes.
we have a president who is a woman. We have a prime minister who thinks that women ministers, women chief ministers are doing very well. I'll give you a recent example. The chief secretary for our state Uttarakhand was to be nominated. 3 names went, and the cabinet and headed by the prime minister chose the women as
The previous
chief secretary, the previous chief secretary.
Yes.
So, and in fact, it will be a surprise to people. The men are more forthcoming. Men are more forthcoming in asking the women to come
forward and
to come forward. It's not the women who are saying that.
But chalo, I'm sorry I'm interrupting here, Papa, but my question to you is, ये तो चलो हमने we're speaking about ladies who really made it big in their life, who are turning into IS officers, army officers, and of course there's no doubt it's such a proud feeling for any woman, and as an Indian woman today, I feel so proud to see all these women do so well. What about a average girl in a village in India, a rural backward village? And मैं आपको एक example देती हूँ. अभी a few days back, and I'm sure a lot of our audiences have also seen that reel. There's this boy on a bike, and he has chocolates in his hand, and he's a YouTuber. I'm forgetting his name. एक ठेला था उसमें 3-4 young सी I think 6-7 साल 8 साल की लड़कियां थी. And he walks up to that ठेला and he gave chocolates to all these girls. And he was doing it out of sheer love and कि बच्चे हैं इनको जाके देता हूँ. And one of the girls in that ठेला, she turned around and said, भैया आप मुझे उठा तो नहीं लोगे? भैया आप मुझे कुछ कर तो नहीं दोगे अगर आप ये चॉकलेट दे रहे हो? And I'm not kidding, Papa. I came in tears when I saw that. I felt it was such a heart-wrenching video. It speaks so loudly of what is actually existing in rural India. What do you have to say about that?
See, you have to realize one thing. We are a largely populated country. We are the first people who are populated in the world. So media does report such incidents, and I am very sorry to say that the media, which is supposed to be doing improvement of the society, so that little girl who said कि आप कुछ करोगे नहीं.
And this boy said कि नहीं बेटा मैं कुछ नहीं करूँगा, मैं तो आपको सिर्फ चॉकलेट देने आया हूँ, आप डरो मत बेटा. And that girl started crying. She said भैया आप मुझे उठा तो नहीं लोगे, आप मुझे ले तो नहीं जाओगे.
See, such incidents are taking place, and I think the concerned authorities have been told to take action against them. But what happens is, change comes very slowly. And this kind of a mindset which is existing, discriminating between men and women, has been there in our country for a very, very long time. People are coming out of it, and I think give another 50 years or maybe a little more than that, I think we would be a nation where this discrimination thing wouldn't last at all.
So Of course, I like I said, it was very heart wrenching. But coming closer to home, आपको कैसा लगता है when elders of the family or friends, family friends, essentially come and tell you कि आपने अपनी बेटी को सर पे चढ़ा रखा है?
Oh, that's a very silly kind of a reaction which people have.
वो तो आपने हमेशा से ही सुना है.
The best answer is एक कान से सुनो दूसरे कान से निकाल दो.
And how do you think, as a father daughter, how can we bring about a change in a small little way?
Set examples. That's the best way.
But when you set an example, people come and tell you that you've spoiled your child.
Let them say. That's what I'm saying. ना एक कान से सुनो दूसरे कान से निकाल दो.
So let's not forget, recently a neighbor came and told you कि कर्नल पंत आप अपनी बेटी को इतनी बड़ी गाड़ी दे रखी है चलाने के लिए, आपने अपनी बेटी को सर पे चढ़ा के रखा हुआ है.
No, but it didn't make a difference to me at all. Let them say whatever they want to say. I can't stop. I can't seal someone's mouth.
Yeah.
Let them say whatever. I have to do what I have to do.
But does that reflect their thought process because of?
Yes, it does. It does.
What do you think about that?
No, see. Now I'll tell you. In our society, we have 48 people, 48 houses, 48 flats, and so many people staying here. वो 48 में से अगर एक माइंडसेट खराब है तो that doesn't mean कि सारे बाकी 47 खराब है. The rest 47 who are in majority are good.
Okay, now raising an only child, a daughter, as a father, did it ever cross your mind even once that maybe I should tell my daughter to calm down a bit? Or maybe she should not be this loud. Or maybe she should not be so forthcoming. Or maybe she should not be this independent.
See, you have to understand one thing. Please see the difference between discrimination and being discourteous.
Yeah.
See, whenever your child, whether a boy or a girl, is discourteous, you have to tell him, look, this is not the way to speak. It's not because the girl is loud or the boy is not loud. So there is a very thin line between discrimination and being discourteous. See, I haven't taught you to be discourteous. I haven't taught you to be discourteous.
But don't you think that a lot of people sometimes confuse being loud to being discourteous? Especially with women. I'm talking in the context of women. Not वही उतना ही loud अगर कोई मेल करेगा, इतनी loudly से बात करेगा तो शायद उस चीज़ को इतना seriously नहीं लिया जाएगा.
No, here you've gone wrong. Whether it's a boy or a girl, man or woman, whoever speaks loudly has to be told कि look यार, please tone down your voice. This is not the way to speak.
Yeah.
Especially when you are interacting with your colleagues and with your seniors and your parents and your elders in the family. So you have to give that respect and regards to elders and seniors. When you work, they are seniors. When you are at home, they are elders. So you can't be abusive in your tone. You can't be loud with them. So this is discourtesy. It's not that you are being loud. It's you are showing disrespect to that individual. That should not be there.
Again, bringing you back to the fact that you're a veteran and have served in the Indian Army for 32 years. And what a proud feeling it must be. But I want to ask you, how do you feel about now women coming in commanding roles? They're commanders now. They're commanding officers now in the Indian Army. And they're going to grow to become even brigadiers and generals at a certain point. They're already becoming generals in some of the logistical and support arms. What I need to ask you is that how do you feel about this? Because you just said a few minutes back that essentially when you were a young officer, you did not have lady officers being commissioned into the Indian Army or the Indian Armed Forces. How do you feel about this radical, I would call it a radical change in our society. How do you feel about that?
See, I have seen lady officers. When I was posted in Delhi, we had 6 of them in our unit, and I found them as good as the men and as bad as the men. So there's absolutely no question of being a women lady officer or a man lady officer. So I think they are doing well. And as far as the command assignments are concerned, if you personally ask me, I feel since they are emotionally more mature and most of the problems which our other ranks have in the army are related to their families, to their wives, children staying away, my family is alone and all. And I think the women understand those problems much better than the men understand. So to that extent, I think it is a good success story. It's a good success story. Let them command. They have just taken over command. I think I'm sure they'll do well there also.
So, a very direct question. Do you think, even in the corporate world, do you think that there are fewer opportunities for women? I'm talking generally, in a general diaspora in our society. And I'm talking specifically in terms of Indian society, not of the Western world. Do you think there are fewer opportunities for women to grow professionally than are given to men?
No, I don't agree to the statement. It's the women themselves who start thinking after some time कि ये तो बहुत बड़ी पोस्ट है मैं इसको हैंडल नहीं कर पाऊंगी. See, the women, there are lot.
But do you think all women are like that? I don't think
No,
so.
they are not.
Yeah.
They are not.
I think there are a lot of women who would also.
See, preventive committees are there to see whether no misbehavior is taking place with the women colleagues. And I don't think, see, in the corporate world, it's a good bonhomie which is taking place between the men and the women. They all understand each other. And if a work is to be given to a subordinate, I don't think the boss thinks this way कि लड़की इसको मत दो या लड़का इसको मत दो. I think the treatment is absolutely similar as far as men are concerned, women are concerned. So saying that there are fewer opportunities, I don't agree to that. It's an open competition. The women and the girls have not been told not to compete. They are at liberty to compete. And if they compete and if they do well, they take over the post.
तो मेरा एक आपसे बहुत ही बेसिक सवाल है डैड. आज भी क्यों हम अपने घर में लड़कियों को बोलते हैं कि अंधेरा होने से पहले वापस आ जाना और ज़्यादा लेट नाइट पार्टी मत करना?
See, that is being protective.
So we are being protective because we don't feel safe. We don't feel safe for our daughters and our sisters.
But I want to tell you a place called as Hyderabad.
हाँ जी.
There, we have like you have a gang of 4 or gang of 6. Though of course it is illegal. The police people said this is illegal. You can't have that. There, what has happened is there are a lot of girls who are part of a group, and they in their cars and in their scooters they roam about the town and they see कि रात को लड़कियाँ बैठी लड़कियाँ सेफ है कि नहीं है, कोई झगड़ा हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. So this society is changing slowly. This mindset exists everywhere in the world, as I told you. It's not only restricted to our country, and the changes are taking place, and I think in times to come, I'll give you an example. When you go out at night,
You've never stopped me.
I have never stopped you.
You don't even question me.
But then I do keep telling you, wherever you go, please
Be
tell
safe.
us where you
And
are.
you tell me कि
Wherever
मैं आपको
you're
बता
sitting, you
दूँ.
tell us, so that we know if something goes wrong, at least we know you are there. We know where to go, where to see, where to find. So that much to that. Saying that treatment is, at least I don't have that kind of a thought process. I don't have that kind of a psyche. I don't have that kind of a mindset.
ये सवाल मैं आपसे फिर पूछना चाहूँगी और मैंने पहले भी पूछा था, बट आई थिंक हम कॉन्वर्सेशन में बह गए. हमारी सोसाइटी में सेटल होने का मतलब किसी भी लड़की के लिए शादी क्यों होता है? सेटल होने का मतलब करियर में सक्सेसफुल होना, या सेटल होने का मतलब घर बनाना अपना, या सेटल होने का मतलब सिंगल रहना भी क्यों नहीं हो सकता?
See, I've always maintained there is no age for marriage. There is no age for marriage. You can get married at 18, which is the legal age, or you can get married at 80, 82 also. So there is no this thing. People, most today is hardly any women. In fact, today, if you interact with people, you'll find the women and the girl members in the family working more than the men. So it is taken for granted कि okay, आपने ग्रेजुएशन कर लिया, आपने पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन कर ली, अच्छा आप काम करो.
तो अगेन सेटल होने का मतलब अच्छा लड़की को सेटल कर दो, ये क्यों है कि शादी वाई अगेन ना?
This is mostly with women who are not working anywhere.
तो अगर वो लड़की काम नहीं भी कर रही, so say a girl doesn't have a career, say she is not doing anything, and say she just just wants to lead a simple life, not wanting to get married.
Yes, she is free to do so.
Yeah, but then why does the society say that she's not settled in life? Why do you think that is? This is something I want to understand from you.
See, this is, I think the nature has made it that way. That at some stage, the women or the men have to come together for purposes of procreation, you may call it, or for other purposes also. So that union has to take place at some stage. So if a girl and a boy is not working, it's very easy for us to say
कि
कि
शादी
शादी
कर
कर
दो.
लो. So it does bring a lot of stability to the household.
So why does this, don't you think that not being married can also bring stability to a woman's life?
Yes, if she's working, if she's doing something, if she's doing some work, she may be doing business, she may be having a corporate job, she may be in the armed forces, she may be in the teaching line, she may be a doctor, she may be an engineer.
What is the one thing you'd like to say to men separately, of course, and women and parents, three different of this society and this generation? What would you like to say to the men first, of course?
See, I would like to tell the parents, ki, please do not discriminate between your son and daughter. Treat them as equals. And to the boys and the girls is that don't discriminate, don't get carried away, and be ready. Be ready for what? Be ready for women joining your band now. Be ready, accept it.
Yeah, like I said, I feel so proud and blessed, to have parents like you and mom. I think बहुत बार मेरे को ये सुनने को मिलता है कि you've been brought up like a son.
To the men who are not married, my advice would be please prepare yourself well, because you have a competition which is coming, because up till now it was a man's world. Now it is equal. It's a human being's world now,
Yeah.
whether man or a girl.
So like I said, I have been told many times that you've been brought up like a son. और वो मुझे लगता है बहुत ही misogynistic और बहुत ही sexist statement है. I'm a daughter and I think I'm very happy being one. No, and I'm not like a son. And I'm very happy that I'm not like a son. Of course, I really want to thank you, Dad, for this episode today and this podcast and our launch episode.
In fact, I want to tell you one important thing which I've observed over the years, and the fathers, the brothers, and the other men in the family are more forthcoming now. They are asking their girls, their women to go out, work, do jobs. And I'm very sorry to say that the women in the family, they are not encouraging their daughters to go out.
Yeah.
It's the fathers who are doing it more.
Yeah.
They keep telling their daughters, become doctors, join the IAS, join the armed forces.
Yeah.
So they are more forthcoming.
So which I think is a very positive and a very happy change.
Yes.
So anyway, Dad, thanks a ton for this first episode and this podcast. I think I hope audiences you've enjoyed watching this and understanding my dad's views on this. Being the father of an only child and a daughter, and of course being a veteran of the Indian Army, served for 32 years as a soldier there. I think thanks a ton, Dad. Thank you so much for coming and for making this podcast so interesting. And
Thank you, Advviti. Thank you.
Thanks.